Today, we are going to talk about a different method of germinating seeds using a milk jug to create a mini greenhouse. Now, many people start their seeds indoors under grow lights or in a sunny window, but if you don't have grow lights or if you don't have good windows for starting seeds, this might be a great option for you. So many people use this particular method to start perennials or native seeds. A lot of those seeds need certain weather conditions in order to germinate. They need what we call a stratification period or a period of cool, moist weather. This mechanism that the seeds have developed allows them to prevent germination during hot, dry summers. It also allows them to not germinate in the middle of winter. So we're going to mimic those conditions today. I'm going to be using some native seed, but you can also use this same method in the spring to germinate cool season vegetables, or later in the spring to germinate any of your other vegetable seed. So the method is pretty simple. This is what it looks like when it's finished. But to make it, you need a milk jug. You don't need the lid. We actually want to leave the lid off, especially if we're doing this outside in the winter. Then you can check on your seedlings, but you also, when it rains or when it snows, that moisture is going to go down and keep the seed mix damp. So we need this. We also need some seedling mix. I recommend a seed starting mix as opposed to regular potting soil. This one is a little lighter, so the seedlings are less likely to get dampening off. And then they are also less likely to have germination issues. Some potting soils have built-in fertilizers, and that causes the seeds to grow a lot of top and not a lot of root, which isn't great for them. So a pre-dampened potting soil mix, seed starting mix. We also need a method to cut our milk jug in half, because we're ultimately going to cut it open so we can put our seed mix and our seeds in. So either a box cutter or scissors, whichever one you feel comfortable with will work. We need seeds, of course. Can't do this without seeds. I am starting some liatris seeds, some prairie blazing star. So I will set these outside and let them get their cool, moist period all winter. We need a popsicle stick or something for a label. If your soil is a little dry, the stick can also serve two purposes of helping you mix your moisture into your soil, along with serving as a label. I use a pencil on my popsicle sticks when I write the information. Permanent markers tend to fade, especially when they're outside for an extended period of time. And finally, last but not least, we need some duct tape because we're gonna cut this open and we gotta have a way to keep it closed again. So to make your container, first thing you're going to do is you need to poke some holes in the bottom. We need a way to let excess moisture out. So when we get a lot of snow or a lot of rain in the winter time, we have a way to get some of that extra moisture so that our potting soil doesn't become completely soaked, and so that we don't drown our seedlings. Next, we are going to cut about 3 to 4 inches up from the bottom. You want to be below that that handle. But you're going to cut almost all the way around. We're going to stop and leave this corner so that we have kind of a hinge for our little greenhouse. That makes it easier to put it back together once we get done. So after I get this greenhouse made, I'm going to put this in a east-facing side of my garden shed. We want morning sun. It's less harsh than evening and afternoon sun. So we want to put that morning sun, and that'll help them germinate in the spring. So we've got our potting soil. I've already got this damp. So we're going to put about 3 inches of potting soil into the bottom of this container and firm it down just a little bit. Now, when you get ready to plant your seeds, make sure you follow the package, or if you have just collected some seeds from your native wildflowers, do some research online to see how the seeds need to be started. Some really small seeds will need to be just sprinkled on the surface and then patted lightly in. Other seeds, such as this liatris, will need to be sprinkled on the top and then add a little bit of soil on top of it. So whatever you do, make sure you are following the directions of your seed packet. And I'm going to scatter these out just a little bit. Now they can be a little closer than the package recommends, but you'll have to thin your seedlings then in the spring. So I've got those guys scattered on top. I'm going to grab my seed starting mix because these need some soil over the top, and sprinkle a little bit of soil over the top. One thing I did forget to mention is you will need something to top dress your soil with. The top dressing can either be a grit, a sand mixed with peat moss. I'm using some aquarium gravel, but the top dressing, ultimately its job is to help prevent dampening off. And dampening off is a fungal or bacterial disease that can kill small seedlings as they first germinate. And this is especially important if you're trying to start a plant that is known to have issues with dampening off. So I've got just a little bit scattered across the top, and I'm using white because that's what I had it in. So we'll set that down. Now that we've got our seed mix, we have our seeds on top, we've sprinkled some soil on top of that, added our top dressing, I'm going to add my label. So this is a Prairie Blazing Star. Stick it in. Now if you just have one or two, you don't probably need to have a label on it, but that just makes it easier. I'm also going to add in the date that I seeded these particular plants so that I have an idea of roughly when they may start coming up. Now with my duct tape, you're going to duct tape around, covering up that opening. I did go ahead and pre-tear some pieces of duct tape. That just, because it's been cut, this particular milk jug is a little flimsy, so it seems it's easier if you already have your duct tape torn or cut rather than trying to tear and cut it as you are putting it back together. So I did a couple of them. I'm going to add some more because this is ultimately to help hold the jug together and kind of seal some of that heat and moisture in. So I will add one more layer to make sure that it doesn't come apart. And then, as I said throughout, I'm going to set these on the east side to get that, take advantage of that morning sun, and check on them periodically in the spring when the seedlings have started to come up. I will open it back up, thin some of the seedlings out if they're too close, and then transplant them into bigger containers. But this is milk jug propagation. It's pretty simple, and again, you can do wildflower seeds like I did, you could do native grasses, or you can also use this to start some of your vegetable seeds in the spring. But happy growing, everyone. Have a wonderful day.